Hello and welcome back to Yorkshire Railway and welcome back to another model review. So before we get started, I do apologise. I have got really bad hay fever still, so if I do sound a bit nasally, I can only apologise on that. I am in a war with the flowers. But if you hadn't guessed, today's review is the Hornby Railroad LNER Flying Scotsman. So yeah, if you want to get one of these for yourself, it is code R3086 LNER Class A1 Flying Scotsman number 4472. And as you can see, it is DCC ready and a minimum radius of 432mm. No information on the back of the box, unlike the sort of classic Hornby Railways packaging, but certainly a nice style boxing. We've got the lovely Flying Scotsman banner on top of there, so it does make it a little bit special. But anyway, let's get it out the box and we'll take a closer look. So interesting to note that even though it is a railroad version, they're still opting to go with this polystyrene packaging, which I will say I absolutely hate. They have these finger holes at the back, but there's something about it. It's just pushing these through. It is absolutely horrendous. Um, you know, I would certainly say opting for the egg box packaging is a lot better if you're going to go cheap. Either that, does polystyrene really cost less than the like block of ice? I certainly know it's not that much more detailed than, let's say, a full spec railways version of the Flying Scotsman or any locomotive. But really, are we still opting for the polystyrene packaging? Yeah, it's not my cup of tea, and I think certainly that is something that Hornby need to look at and update for the future. But anyway, we'll get that put back in the box and we'll take a closer look at the locomotive itself. Now, really lovely colour on this. Hornby have absolutely nailed the LNER apple green. But one thing I do need to say is I sort of need to put a bit of an apology out there because I said when I did my Tornado review that the Flying Scotsman was coupled already. And yeah, I don't know why I forgot this, but that isn't the case. It must be the Mallard I'm thinking about. I know one of them definitely is. But yeah, turns out the Flying Scotsman is not already coupled. But yeah, it's certainly a plasticky quality. We have a plastic running plate. The body is plastic, and a lot of the details are plastic. The roof vents are stuck in the open position, but that's not a surprise when we look at the cab. Certainly nice moulded detail in there. However, it's not painted and there doesn't look like there's any separately fitted parts in there, just all looks to be moulded detail. Glazing in the cab, which is great, and we've got glazing in the front windows as well, so that is absolutely fantastic to see. Um, Metal buffers, but as you can see, they're not sprung, so yeah, it's nice to have that. Although this is supposed to be a basic feature model, so having metal buffers I definitely think is a win. Beats plastic by any means. And there's some really nice numbering on the front buffer beam there, as well as the smoke box dart looks incredible as well. Looking at the tender, really nice underframe detail, a bit light, but that's not too much of a problem considering there's no wires or anything to go into the tender, so there's no actual function for it. Nice bit of moulded detail to show where the coal comes in, and the coal load on top is great as well. And we've got the corridor coach at the back, as well as the LNER writing on the side, as well as the lining as well. Absolutely fantastic. I say the coal load's quite nice. It's a bit realistic looking. It's very small chunks, but quite glossy looking as well. So yeah, we'll take a bit of a further look once it's down on the track and all coupled together. Okay, there she is down onto the track and looking absolutely stunning. There's not really much I can really niggle about this locomotive because obviously the railroad range is very basic. For the price, I paid 94.99 for this, so less than 100 quid. I know certainly in recent days it has gone up a little bit in price, so yeah, it's not the best. I do have to apologise about the wobbling there. I have got Obi in the bottom, and he was just running into the tripod, so I've kicked him out now. But yeah, it's an absolutely fantastic model for the price. The only one sort of niggle I can really say about it is the lining. Obviously, in the moulding process, there is a sort of join band on the top of the locomotive that is a little bit on the noticeable side. I certainly do think that is one thing Hornby could look at maybe fixing. It's might be a process that certainly for the cheaper locomotives it's fairly just standard practice. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I do think with the way a lot of modern tooling locomotives are going, they've sort of hidden that, and I don't think it would really cost more to upgrade that feature, just to get rid of it, basically, just to make it look a little bit nicer. But other than that, I think the locomotive looks absolutely incredible. As I say, prices have gone up a little bit of recent years. I do think it's leaning a little bit on the expensive side. However, you can still get it at model shops for just slightly over £100. You're looking about £120 to £30 now for a railroad Flying Scotsman, which, with inflation and how it's gone up recently, it's not horrendous. But odd times, yeah, you can sometimes pick them up on like Amazon, but I would say support your local, model shop if you can. But anyway, it's time to test out the crawl, giving her a bit of juice. A little bit on the coggy side. As you can see, this is getting slower and slower, but to hold any sort of speed, it does need to be a little bit on the higher side. I think we're about 30% when it sort of went a bit smoother. But yeah, it's stalled there just from cogging. So yeah, it's not the best crawler, but again, looking on the railroad side, it's certainly reasonable going at a slow speed. Not necessarily a crawl, but yeah, definitely a slower speed. So not certainly the worst. I've seen a lot worse in that situation, but yeah, at a reasonably slow speed, and certainly at faster speeds, can't really fault this. And I mean, to be honest, the Flying Scotsman, you are going to be sending it around your track at a more reasonable speed anyway. It is an express passenger locomotive after all, so yeah, it certainly will be going around the track a bit more. But anyway, what I might do is, because it has been sat in storage, I'm going to give it a bit of a run in just to see if that loosens up a little bit, but I can't see it doing much, to be honest. But here's trying. Okay, so just waiting for the locomotive to come around the corner. And there we go. So getting a bit more of a run in. Let's see if the performance has improved in any way, really. As I say, I don't think it will. Obviously, it is a cheaper mechanism in here than the Railways version. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be brilliant, but going back to a crawl, and it's not really a crawl, is it? It's very coggy. Yeah, it's not brilliant at all. As I say, you pick it up at a slower speed. I can't fault that, really. It's nice and controlled, but yeah, at a crawl, not really. And certainly at the higher passenger rate speeds, yeah, it's not too bad at all. But yeah, that slow speed is actually all right. So it seems to actually perform better in reverse than it does going forwards. I've had quite a few locomotives that do that, especially steam ones. So I don't know if it's easy for the mechanism to work backwards or not, but yeah, it just seems a bit strange. But yeah, going forwards, it certainly is a bit of a coggy mess, to say the least. So yeah, it's not brilliant. But anyway, I think what we should do is I will get my LNER teak coaches out and we'll hook it up to the Flying Scotsman and we'll send it on a proper run at more traditional passenger speed. So yeah, I'll get that sorted. There we go, and as if by magic, the LNER teaks are all coupled up and we're ready to send the Scotsman on the way flying round the layout. So yeah, we'll give it a bit of juice and we'll send her on her way. Bit of a controlled start, but there she goes. I've got a nice rake of 5 LNER coaches as well on there, so yeah, should be a good test. But let's enjoy the running in. Okay, so time for some ratings. So this is for the Hornby Railroad Flying Scotsman. And we're going to start off with the performance, which I've awarded 3 stars. I've awarded this mainly because the slow speeds, although good, it could be a lot better, but it's mainly the crawl. The crawl is absolutely terrible, very coggy, and it did start stalling as well, so yeah, not a brilliant performance in that region. However, at the slower speeds and the more faster speeds, certainly it did improve massively. Ran really smoothly, no faults or issues there at all. Detail wise, obviously it is a railroad locomotive at the end of the day. There isn't much in terms of separately fitted parts. Obviously, yeah, we've got nice handrails on there, we've got the whistles and the valves on top. Metal buffers, brilliant, but no painted cab interior. It is very plasticky in terms of its details. So yeah, it's not the greatest in terms of that, but doesn't make it a bad model. At the end of the day, it is meant to be basic, so it's not a bad representation. It's just I can't award that any higher because there's locomotives out there that are got all the singing and dancing bells and whistles. So it just is what it is. Livery wise, this is where it sort of jumps up a little bit. I've awarded 4 star. Main reason that drops it down from being 5 star because Hornby have got a brilliant apple green LNR colour. It's more to do with the numbering and the lettering on the sides. Is that it is just sort of 2D. It doesn't have that 3D effect that you get from the more upmarket railroad models. That to me, it can't be that much more difficult to print those on, even on the basic models. So yeah, that's where it's getting let down a little bit. Other than that, the lining's great, the colour's great. So yeah, 4 stars on that. Quality wise, again, it's really down to the performance. It's just terrible at that slow speed and the crawl. So yeah, I can't really award it any more than that. As well as obviously the tender isn't actually attached, it is a self-assembly tender. So yeah, there's no way really, unless you're sort of wanting to customize the locomotive to get like a speaker fitted in the tender. Everything is in the locomotive, so yeah, quality wise on that, yeah, I think it could do with an update. And then value. So I've awarded it 3.5 stars for the value. Obviously, I paid $94.99 for it. In recent years, it is getting a little bit on the expensive side, especially the train set. That you can also get the Flying Scotsman in, but obviously that does come with the track and everything. But yeah, it is like in excess of about £200 now, which yeah is quite expensive for a railroad model. But yeah, nevertheless, it's still fairly decent value. It just could be a little bit better. I think certainly could be a bit cheaper. Hence why I've awarded it 3.5 stars. And that's where we get to the overall rating. So overall rating of 3.2, which I don't think is a bad measure. It's certainly over halfway. And I would definitely recommend this locomotive, especially for beginners, children, anybody looking to get their first tender locomotive. Certainly you're looking at either the Mallard or the Flying Scotsman. Very iconic locomotives, and I certainly think it does have a great place in Hornby's railroad range. It's an iconic locomotive, and everybody wants to get their hands on it at the end of the day. But that is all from me today, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to give me a thumbs up in the liking section below. As well as don't forget to leave a comment if you've enjoyed the video. Do you own one of the Railroad Flying Scotsmans? And if so, what year did you purchase it in? I know there's been many renditions, so yeah, it'd be great to know how long you've had yours up and running for. As well as, are you thinking of getting one? It'd be great to know that as well. And would you go for the locomotive on its own, or would you go for the train set? So that is what I want to know in the comments down below. As well as, if you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's free to do so, but we've got obviously model reviews, we have the layout build, as well as a few other bits where I've got, discussions and other train bits that go on. So if you think that's your cup of tea, don't forget to subscribe. As I say, it's free to do so, massively helps out my channel, and you'll always be there when new videos are uploaded. So it's a win-win in my opinion. So that is everything, guys. Take care. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.